League of Michigan Bicyclists, I read, want complete streets. That's the legislation to be Michigan law. Can you tell us what complete streets, what that program is, and if your organization, if your coalition is involved with it?
Yeah, we definitely support that project. Do you want to talk a little bit about the
Okay, yeah, we see that as an important part of the network of non-motorized facilities. It's not the entire thing, but planning around use of streets by bikers, walkers, transit, and people in wheelchairs, for example, is a good goal to strive for. So that needs to be woven into a whole system. You really need to take a system approach and make sure that there's continuity of facilities for all of the users. And the key point, I think, is access to destinations for everybody. So we want networks of facilities that provide access for everybody.
So is there some estimate? You gave a cost in this other community on the West Coast. Is there some idea of cost if Safe Streets and this Michigan plan, were implemented? Do we have an idea?
I don't know. I don't know if cost estimates have been done on that. I mean, I would expect that it's difficult to come up with those estimates. I mean, we have essentially been for the last century created communities and our cities around an automobile, and so our entire communities and our streets and our roads are generally fit mostly for the automobile, and so retrofitting them for all users now does become an expensive case at times, but
not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's, sometimes, for example, a 4-lane road that's not functioning well can be downsized to a 3-lane road. It's both safer for cars on a road like that to have 3 lanes rather than 4 because there are fewer traffic accidents, and then there'd be room for bike lanes on the side. So City of Ann Arbor and the county are doing that on a number of roads. So I think there's a desire both at the state and federal level now to figure biking and walking into the whole transportation mix. In fact, the Federal Department of Transportation recently issued guidelines that on federally funded projects, biking and walking networks are supposed to be a part of every federally funded project. So there's a desire to balance the transportation system and provide facilities for everybody.
Can you tell us, Larry, I think you were quoted in the Ann Arbor, well, online, AnnArbor.com, about the connecting communities. Saline, there's plans to connect Ann Arbor and Saline?
Right, yeah, the county has, Parks Department has what they call a Connecting Communities program to work on this concept of a countywide network of facilities. In the recent round, they funded 6 projects. One of those, or funded, I'm sorry, 4 projects out of 6 that were submitted. One of those is a trail along Lower Road through Pittsfield Township between Ellsworth and Textile, and then about a half-mile along Textile. So that'll fill up a good part of the gap between Ann Arbor and Saline for that connection. The other key part of that, which we might want to talk about later, is crossing I-94, and we've been working on that to try to make that connection to, because I-94 right now is quite a barrier to biking and walking.
Right. So I understand that for this particular project, $300,000 has been given from the Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation Commission.
That's right.
But there's a 5-year program which is estimated to be approximately $3 million, right?
That's right. The total for this year was $600,000.
Okay. And then I understand that one of the millages, one of the Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation millages is about to expire. Is that a portion? Because it's very little money. The mills is like 0.24. Is that correct?
My recollection was that the millage was recently renewed about a year or 2 ago.
So there's nothing expiring?
Well, I don't know. There may be. I'm not sure. But I know there was a millage that was renewed a couple of years ago.
Okay. All right. And so just it seems like there's a plethora, if you want, of different programs. And so do you feel that your coalition can dovetail with so many programs and make sense of them and be of value?
By programs are...
Well, there's the complete streets, there's the border to border, yes.
Yeah, most of them, I mean, on a countywide basis, we are the only advocacy organization for non-motorized transportation. We have the there are recreational groups that have engaged membership and are interested in this, but they're really recreational groups, whether it's the Ann Arbor Bicycle Touring Society or MMBA. But we were really the only voice for this, and so it's I think it's an important voice to have at the table, along with those other different interests that are of course out there.
Sometimes it takes an advocacy group to help pull things together and focus attention on priorities.
And how do you fit with the greenways? I know there was some little question about that. Do you?
Yeah, it's actually, I was just speaking with Margaret Wong the other day and saying it would be nice to have a joint meeting with them soon. I think it's an obvious group to try to collaborate with. Sometimes it's difficult to see where you know, it's easy to say, oh, I'm interested in this and I'm interested in that. The Greenway is it's a beautiful idea in many ways, and would be a great recreational path, and also potentially a transportation path for many. But I think a lot of the people that end up getting involved with WBWC are, particularly bicyclists, are people who are looking for on-road facilities, and so sometimes there's membership that gets concerned that when an emphasis on trails rather than or greenways rather than on-road facilities is at conflict, but I don't think it is. I think it's just they complement each other and provide access for different types of users.
We're getting closer to the end, so I'm going to try and fire in some questions at you. All right?
Great.
We still have a few minutes, but I want to get some in. Tell me, there's an interesting program I think that you're doing, Erica, with Lurie Terrace. Tell us about that, because tell us what Lurie Terrace is.
Yeah, Lurie Terrace is a senior retirement community. It's in, I guess, try to think if it's actually in downtown Ann Arbor. If not, it's right in the outskirts.
Close. Yes.
On Huron. And their director came to our pedestrian forum in October and spoke there about their residents and kind of the interest that they have in better pedestrian protections for pedestrians. Their seniors have been taxied across the street from Lurie Terrace across the street to the YMCA because it's very difficult to get across Huron there. There isn't a marked there's a marked crosswalk, but nobody stops at it, and that's one of the things that we're working on. Fortunately, for that particular intersection, there does appear to be money coming in for implementing a crosswalk facility there with lights. But he was very interested in working with us because he saw it was of an issue for his residents who are getting around.
So is that the kind of thing you would advocate? You would go to City Council or Eli Cooper or whomever and talk about the need?
Right. Our hope is to be able to represent all the different sorts of users that are out there, whether it's from kids to seniors to commuters to recreational users. There's just a lot of voices out there and different needs. The disabled community in terms of how they access the roadways and our sidewalks and communities, and just making sure that the facilities are built for them and that the public is educated to stop when they come to a crosswalk, and those many pieces that make us a friendly community.
You started to say about getting some changes through council. Yes, some ordinance changes.
Yeah,
there were two, I think.
Yep. Out of that pedestrian forum, it became clear that we needed to have a strengthened pedestrian ordinance. And so, one of the things is currently motorists are only required to stop when they see a pedestrian in the crosswalk. And what makes more sense is if you see somebody waiting to cross the street, that's the appropriate time to cross. So
has that ordinance passed?
The City Attorney's Office is just drafting an ordinance right now, and we hope to have that out soon so that City Council members can take a look at it, and we can have hopefully get it passed sometime this summer.